Hey guys, it's Rachel, and yes, I know I have been MIA. I've been quite busy doing this thing called life and trying to be more present at the moment. And I do want you guys to know that I've missed you all so much. But the reason that I wanted to come on to this channel is because I really wanted to celebrate this special milestone. Because this year marks 8 years since I moved to Canada. And looking back, it feels like I've lived through several different lifetimes. From being a student to entering the workforce, from doing survival jobs to building a career, from feeling like an outsider to finally feeling at home. Looking back, each stage has really taught me something that I couldn't have learned any other way. So with that, I wanted to share the 7 biggest lessons I've learned in my 8-year-long journey of immigrating to Canada. Basically, my hope is that if you're just starting your journey or if you're somewhere in the middle of it, I hope that you'll find pieces that resonate with you and maybe even help you along the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. For the first lesson, and honestly, it's one of the biggest things moving to Canada taught me, and it's that adjustment takes longer than you think. I don't mean to start off in like a Debbie Downer tone, but let me explain. When you move to another country, right, you're suddenly making all these small changes at once. You're figuring out how to commute, you're learning your way around, you're setting up your bank account, and maybe even picking up on cultural quirks. In the moment, it feels like you're changing so much in such a short amount of time. But when you zoom out, you realize that in terms of progress, be it in your career, friendships, or even sense of belonging, things aren't moving as quickly as you expected. To be honest, I often beat myself up for that because I really set high expectations for myself. But in reality, transitioning, settling, and truly adjusting takes longer than we imagine, and that's okay. So if you're in your first week in Canada, maybe you're in month 3, heck, even month 6, or even year 1 in Canada, and you feel like, oh, why is everything so slow? Or why isn't everything lining up the way that I want it to be? But guess what? That's part of a natural, healthy process when you're finding your footing in a new country. And so I hope you're not beating yourself up to it the way that I did. In short, be patient with yourself. You're doing an already amazing job at uprooting your life and starting anew. Don't try to add more pressure to it by feeling that how your life was then should line up to your new life in Canada or in any other country for that matter. This leads me to my next lesson, and that is independence is both empowering and lonely. Let me explain. So I'm mainly referring to people maybe in their year 1 or even 2nd year in Canada. And at this stage, you'll feel this sense of empowerment because you've basically found your rhythm in Canada. You could navigate your commute with ease, you're finding your way around campus, and you're keeping a steady routine with school and work and life. Even simple things like doing your own groceries, paying your bills really makes you think, wow, I'm really adulting and I got this and I don't need anyone's help because I've made it this far. I'm here to warn you that eventually you will find yourself in this self-sufficient mode where you're building this habit of solving your own problems instead of reaching out. And at first, it feels like strength, but when you stay in this mindset for too long, it does become isolating. When you keep things bottled up, you convince yourself that other people maybe wouldn't understand or couldn't really help you in any way. This is why I'm giving you guys a fair warning. Independence doesn't mean shutting people out. In short, try not to carry that burden all on your own. Strength isn't just about your ability to do everything, but also having the ability to admit to yourself that maybe I can't do this all on my own and I need help. The next big lesson I learned was about money and how important it is to be intentional with it as a newcomer. Now, quick backstory. I moved to Canada when I was 23 years old, fresh out of university with no real paid work experience from back home. And so it wasn't until I got my 9-to-5 job here in Canada that I had my first taste of a steady income. That's also when I realized I needed to be a lot more structured with my finances, not just earning, but also managing it in a way that could support the life that I wanted to create here. That's why I want to take a moment to talk about BMO and highlight their BMO NewStart program. I always love to share resources that make life easier for international students or anyone starting fresh in Canada. And that's why I was so excited to partner with a trusted financial institution like BMO. The BMO NewStart Program is designed specifically for newcomers, and it has offerings that honestly would have made a big difference when I was just getting started. For example, when you open a performance checking account, you don't pay any monthly plan fees for 2 years, which honestly gave me some much needed breathing room while adjusting to life in a new country. They also offer a credit card with the most cash back on groceries in Canada without paying an annual fee. It's a simple way to earn a little something back on everyday spending and start building your Canadian credit history from scratch. And finally, as someone who's Filipino, sending money back home is a big part of how we stay connected. And BMO makes that easier with global money transfers with no fee. It might seem small, but if you transfer money often, it really adds up. So yeah, if you're a newcomer looking to build good money habits, or you just want to make the most of where your money goes, I recommend checking out the BMO NewStart program. You'll find the link in the description, and it's also right here on your screen. The next lesson I learned is this: don't undervalue yourself just to fit in. For me, this showed up mostly during my job search in Canada. At the start, I was so focused on getting in that I took the first offer that came my way. I had convinced myself that I needed to start small, accept a survival job, and get Canadian work experience at all costs. And so even though the role was minimum wage and completely unrelated to what I studied or imagined for myself, I said yes. Now, I don't regret that choice at all. Those early jobs taught me a lot about what it takes to adjust to life here. But in hindsight, I can see how undervaluing myself slowed down my career. If I had given myself more time, I would have been better off tailoring my skills and experiences towards the type of role I actually wanted, rather than just spraying out applications and hoping something stuck. Because while survival jobs might help in the short term, later on, they don't always show recruiters the clear career progression that you're aiming for. Over time, I learned that setting boundaries is actually valued, and that saying no doesn't mean that you're not capable or not willing. It just shows you know your limits, which is a good thing, because while we can do anything, we can't do everything. Another big lesson I've learned in Canada is that learning also means unlearning. One of the hardest things I had to unlearn was my old definition of success. Back home, success often meant titles, income, and status, aka the straight path from school to career to stability. But life in Canada doesn't always work in straight lines. During my time in Canada, success started to look different, which meant having stability, creating a sense of belonging, finding joy in small wins, and building a foundation at my own pace. And so unlearning old definitions of success gave me space to appreciate the progress I was making, even when it didn't fit the traditional mold. And honestly, that shift really made the journey feel much more lighter because it was more my own. The next lesson I've learned is the importance of celebrating small wins. As newcomers, we often think wins only count if they're big, like landing your first full-time job, getting invited to apply for PR, or saving enough to buy a car or a home. And yes, those milestones are worth celebrating. But the truth is, the small wins along the way matter just as much, and sometimes even more. You see, it's not only about finally getting PR, it's about every step you took to get there, like improving your CRS score, sitting through that English test, taking up French lessons, and pretty much pulling your application together piece by piece. It's not just about that job offer. It's also the hours that you spent tailoring your resume and the practice runs that you did for your interview, or even showing up early just to calm your nerves. And it's not just about the big purchases. It's really about the discipline of saying no to unnecessary spending and the moments when you reminded yourself you were saving for something bigger. And so this lesson is just a reminder to not wait until the finish line to celebrate. Give yourself credit for the small wins too, because progress is still progress no matter how small. The last lesson I've learned after my 8-year-long journey in Canada is that home eventually becomes multiple places. When you move abroad, you're forced to reinvent yourself. You can't stay fixed in one identity because life here reshapes you in so many ways. And at first, That can feel confusing, almost like embracing something new means losing where you came from. But I've learned that adding new layers doesn't erase your roots. Take food, for example. I grew up on Filipino dishes, but over time I fell in love with Korean, Chinese, Mediterranean, and so many other cuisines I discovered here. That doesn't make me less Filipino, it just makes my plate and my story richer. Language works the same way. Speaking English every day doesn't mean I am losing my Filipino-ness. Titas, do you hear that? It just means that I've expanded how I connect with people while still carrying the values I grew up with. Eventually, home stops being one place. It becomes a blend, part of where you came from and part of where you are now. And so instead of resisting that, I've learned to embrace it. Because having more than one home doesn't mean you belong less anywhere. It means you belong in more than one place. After 8 years in Canada, what I've realized is this. Immigrating to a new country isn't just about building a new life, but it's also about becoming a new version of yourself. Some lessons come from learning, others come from unlearning, some are empowering, some are lonely, but every single one shapes you in ways you can't see until you look back. To anyone walking a similar path, just know that your pace, your wins, and your version of home are enough. If you have learned a thing or two and you want to add your own twist to it, feel free to dump your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys for giving me the space to talk about this. Anyway, till next time, take care, be kind, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.